Hey everybody, I am Mary K. Spears, and I am a support broker, a caregiver, and I run a nonprofit called My Places Community Events, where we provide community activities and integration for people with disabilities and their caregivers.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your various activities and the focus of your work.
All right. Well, I'll start with plan development services as a support broker. One of the options in Idaho is the self-directed services. And when you do this option on the developmental disabilities waiver, it allows you to have more control and options that you can direct for the funding for your care. And as a support broker, I have sat down with people to create the plan that will support their lives. I love supporting people. My why is support. Everybody deserves support. And so as a support broker, I enjoy having the ability to support people create a plan that will enable them to succeed at their life. As a nonprofit president, we started My Places in 2015 when the person I was working for as a direct care support worker, CSW, lots of different terms for people who do direct care work. When I was working with her, her mother passed away, and dad tried. And when you're older and you have an adult child with disabilities, it's very difficult to take all that on, especially when you lose your partner. And so Rachel came to live with us. My husband said, "Yep, she was part of the deal when I married you." And we brought her home and set up everything to provide her care and get the supports that she needed to have that environment that she needed to be safe and happy. And I'm like, I've been doing plan development for these families. They need community. Like, we need to connect to other people who have the similar needs, because humans are social creatures. And when you have anxiety or disabilities and you don't feel welcome, you need to be invited to the group. So I didn't want to sit home and be sad with Rachel. Yes, when you lose a parent, you're going to miss them, but that's where building and forging new relationships is super important. So that's what we did. And it's a lot of fun.
And the rest is history. You created My Places community events to create that space for Rachel and so many other people like Rachel. So, Mary, I'm going to take this a little bit different direction because I know you have a story to share, and I would love for you to share a little bit about your background and how you came to be in this space and how this work has been always part of the fabric of your life.
I am a third generation caregiver for people with disabilities and like a fifth generation Idahoan. My grandmother was a special ed instructor in the Caldwell School District, and she always had a gal with her who had Down syndrome. And so growing up, there was always if you have someone with disabilities that you're, buds and bonded with, it's your person or you're their person. More you're their person, not they're your person. You're their person. And my mother is a targeted service coordinator. She's qualified intellectual disability uh, provider, and she's done social work and plan development my whole life. And then my father worked out when it was still called the State School and Hospital. He worked at the State School and Hospital for 33 years. When I was born, they were running a group home with 9 adults for the ARC, the Association for Retarded Citizens. And so from 0 to 5, I had 9 people that were all my buddies. And that's where I grew up. And I have always loved people. And when you grow up and have those positive interactions with people who appear or act differently, you learn that people are people, no matter if they're older, younger, able-bodied, disabled, and you can't ever tell who a person is by their appearance. You learn that really, really succinctly. And so you grow up with a desire to just connect with the person of who they are inside, not just what they look like. So growing up, like, 0 to 5 in the group home, my grandmother, Mary Nelson, for whom I'm named after, Mary Nelson ran the Caldwell Special Olympics team. It was Caldwell Eagles. So from 10 to 17, 18, we were going up to Moscow for state games, then to Pocatello, to Boise, just around the state. You hop in a bus, 52 athletes. I was a bowling coach, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for sharing that history, because this isn't new for you. This is who you are. And I think that that's really a wonderful testament to some people come into this later in their careers, but this has always been part of who you are. Well, with that, I'm going to ask you to share one piece of advice with our viewers that you would share with your clients or the community or the families.
I think the best advice I can give anybody is don't be afraid to ask for support. Everybody deserves support, but we can't help you if you don't ask. And just because you're turned down once doesn't mean you can't ask again. And just because someone can't help you in that moment doesn't mean that they can't come back and help you when they have the ability. Give people grace and ask for help. And then when you can, support people. I guess that's 3 pieces of advice, but it's like all encompassing, right?
Everybody deserves support. Thank you so much
Yep.
for being with me today, Mary, and for sharing information about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Have a great day, everybody.